In 1914, a man placed a newspaper advertisement that is still talked about today. It read, "Men wanted for a hazardous journey. Low wages, bitter cold, long months of complete darkness, constant danger. Safe return doubtful." 5,000 men applied. Ernest Shackleton chose 27 of them, boarded a ship called the Endurance, and sailed south toward Antarctica, toward the most hostile place on Earth, with one goal: to be the first to cross the frozen continent on foot. The journey south was treacherous from the start. As the Endurance pushed deeper into the Weddell Sea, the ice began to close in around the hull. At first, it moved slowly, like a hand tightening its grip. Then, on January 19, 1915, the ship stopped completely. The ice had locked around it on all sides, solid and immovable. They were stuck. There would be no crossing of Antarctica. The question now was far simpler and far more terrifying. Would any of them survive? For 10 months, the crew lived aboard the trapped ship, drifting wherever the ice carried them. Shackleton kept his men busy. Daily chores, football matches on the ice. A ship's dog named Mrs. Chippy, who made everyone smile. He understood that the greatest danger was not the cold. It was despair. So every evening he made sure there was music, laughter, and a warm meal waiting. He told his men, "We will get through this." And they believed him, because he said it like he meant it. On October 27, 1915, the ice finally crushed the Endurance. The wooden hull cracked and buckled under thousands of tons of pressure. Water flooded the lower decks. Shackleton gave the order to abandon ship. 28 men stepped off onto the ice, carrying only what they could drag on sleds, 3 small lifeboats, food for a few weeks, and whatever warmth they could hold on to. They watched the Endurance groan, tilt, and slowly disappear beneath the ice. Their ship was gone. They were standing on a frozen ocean with no land in sight. For 5 months, they camped on the drifting ice, dragging the heavy lifeboats with them, waiting for the floes to break up enough to launch. Food was rationed carefully. The sled dogs, one by one, had to be put down. There was not enough food for them, and the men both. Frostbite crept in at the fingers and toes. Sleeping bags were perpetually wet, but not one man broke. Shackleton walked among them every day, checking on each one by name, making sure no one was left alone with his thoughts for too long. On April 9, 1916, the ice began to crack beneath their camp. It was time to launch the boats. For 7 days and nights, the 3 small lifeboats battled through some of the most violent seas on the planet. Waves the height of buildings. Temperatures so low that spray froze on the men's clothing the moment it landed. 2 boats nearly capsized. The men bailed water with their bare hands. Shackleton did not sleep for the entire crossing. He stayed awake to watch over every man on every boat. On April 15, 1916, they reached Elephant Island, a barren, rocky outcrop off the Antarctic Peninsula. It was the first time any of them had stood on solid ground in 497 days. Some men dropped to their knees and grabbed fistfuls of rock and soil just to feel something real beneath them. But Elephant Island was uninhabited, far off any shipping route. No rescue ship would ever find them there. Shackleton looked at the map. The nearest help was a whaling station on South Georgia Island, 800 miles away, across the most dangerous ocean in the world. Shackleton chose 5 men and set out in the largest lifeboat, the James Caird, just 22 feet long, to sail 800 miles through the Southern Ocean. What followed was 16 days of sailing that experts still call one of the greatest feats of navigation and survival in history. Waves the size of houses. A hurricane that lasted for 9 straight days. Once, Shackleton mistook the white crest of a wave for a clear sky and realized too late it was a wall of water about to break over them. They survived it. Somehow, they always survived. They reached South Georgia Island, but landed on the wrong side. The whaling station was on the other coast, separated by an unmapped mountain range no one had ever crossed. Shackleton, with 2 men and no proper equipment, climbed over the mountains through a freezing night. They arrived at the whaling station on May 20th, 1916. The men there stared at 3 filthy, frost-burned strangers at the door. One of the workers later said that he recognized Shackleton's eyes before he recognized his face. Shackleton's first words were, "Tell me, when did the war end?" They told him it hadn't. He had been gone so long, he thought the First World War must be over. Shackleton mounted 4 rescue attempts to reach the 22 men still waiting on Elephant Island. 3 times, ice turned him back. On August 30th, 1916, 4 months after leaving them, he finally broke through. Every single man was alive. Not one person had been lost on the entire expedition. Shackleton stood on the deck of the rescue ship as the men below cheered and waved. He did not cheer. He simply counted heads, quietly, one by one, until he reached 22. Then he allowed himself to breathe. If this story reminded you that human beings are capable of far more than we think, leave a comment below. We'd love to hear what it made you feel.